So you go to Notanizer and you either take a photo or you bring up a photo that you already have. What I like about this, it's helped me push the darks to black, and but it gives you all these options. So here's the Notan, which is just black or white. You can go to black and white. So there you can see your values, which is sometimes hard for me to see, to translate color to value. It's like, well, I see this color, but is it lighter or darker than this? But that's why a lot of times I like to have a black and white version of what I'm working on as well as a colored version. So it gives you the black and white, and of course if you want to see it in color, it'll give you that too.
Can you save that and print it?
Yes, you can.
Good question.
If I only want 3 values,
Oh, wow.
it gives you 3. If you want 4, it gives you 4. So, and then you can adjust. Oh, this is cool. Let me just go back to Notan. All right, see, there's a ton of black there. And if I go, I don't want it quite that dark. So I'm going to go and push it to the light. So I can see really the strong, but see, this can save you time. Because, what I love about this is, do you see the directional lines that are aiming to this back here? But yet this is even leaning over. This was a tree on one of my walks in the morning, but it had strong shadows. But this, I love this, that's way too dark. But when you adjust it this way, it helps you see the darks. So I think it's just a great tool. And then you can share it. Come on. With your photos, with your messages, whatever. But I think, it's free. I like free.
Yeah.
Okay, so because to me, eliminating it down to two shades is just so difficult. So I'm going to say upload. I'm going to keep that one. It's worth keeping.
What is the purpose of that app? Was it made for painters?
I think so.
That's cool.
Thanks to Mike Hartley, he showed me that. He's always finding all sorts of cool things.
He does, doesn't he?
Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my photos, and I'm going to pick a different one from my screenshots. This was my original one that I wanted to paint today. Now, what's it doing? Come on.
You went to a different photo.
I did, but why didn't it come up? So, see, I'm learning curve here. Oh, there's my cats.
Of course.
Yes. Anyway, I don't want to waste the time on this, but y'all see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go to my photos and pull up one of the ones that I sent you. Albums. And this is what I want us to do for a little bit, is just practice sketching, which is a good thing to practice. This was the one that I took in Tennessee. Come on.
Did you send one with those colors, but that was a dirt path as well?
No, I did send this one.
Right.
And then I sent that one. My husband liked this one the best. Because I really like the fall one.
I saved that one. I like that one.
I really like
a
that
lot,
one.
too. Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't matter. But I've got a ton more. But I said I'm just going to focus on some pictures that I like, and this could be done on index cards. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't have to be in a sketchbook. What's nice about an index card is you could use that and put it, here when you're ready to. Matter of fact, I think I'll do that, but I can't visually see the difference. Can y'all see the difference? I can't see the edge of that card. So I'm going to draw around that card so I know where it is, because I visually can't tell the difference. Okay, so if I'm going to do this one, I'm going to I want you to think about the rule of thirds, where you have this tic-tac-toe board kind of on your divide top and bottom into thirds. This is thirds and this is thirds. And so somewhere along the lines, the intersections would be a good place for a focal point or for a line of interest. So I'm going to take this point right here to make sure that it falls somewhere close to this intersection of, yeah, I didn't make it dark enough for you to see. But I'm just looking here to say, okay, here's going to be a shadow. Shadows when they're coming towards you, they get wider. And there's another one over here, and it gets a little rambled, with what's going on there. I'm not going to worry too much. Let the trees go all the way off the page. So this would be my darkest darks, and if I was doing this with a marker, it would just be just doing some. Well, those kind of just ran together. Let's make that a little wider. I'm not too worried about getting every tree. I don't want to be so caught up in it. And there's the top of this hill right here. The path almost goes straight up. So it starts. I look at it as it starts right on a third over here, but it goes off over here. So you look and see how wide it gets, and this goes off slightly above the corner, so the path gets skinnier. And to me, that's probably the easiest mistake to make, is when you have a path or a road and this front part isn't wide enough. So when you look at and I think that's when you were telling me about the bridge, the dock, that I wasn't making it wide enough when I was trying to draw it without looking.
Right.
So if you just look at where does it hit the corner, just like if we were working on a grid, it hits the corner a little above the corner and angles slightly. Now mine's a little skewed. This card's longer than this is tall, and I should have fixed that before I did anything, but it's, you learn. And also look at the angle of these trees. So I see the light here, and think of this as a drawing. So if the light's actually coming from over here, as the light hits these trees and filters out, you want to move the angle of the shadows. So just look at stuff like that. I had that a little high. Here's the tree back there, and then we have some other major trees that are going to come down in here. Now when I squint at this, I see a lot of dark up front, and I see a lot of dark over here. So I'm going to just kind of put in where I kind of connect my darks. There's some shadows from other trees that cross the way. And then it comes down in here and gets kind of shadowy and covers up. And then this fills in over here and kind of comes up. So those are my darkest darks. Does that make sense? Can you see that? Yep. So all I would do now is, my lighter lights, okay, I'm going to try to do it where you can see it, but it's not so dark. I'm going to lay it sideways and just fill in where the tree foliage is. I'm not worried about color. I'm just trying to get rid of anything that's not the lightest lights. Okay, so the lightest lights are not down here, so I would also fade that out. But before, one thing that we didn't do is when in watercolor, you always think where's the lightest light because there is no white in watercolor. So whenever you do this, think again where's the lightest light, and the sky is usually the lightest. Then a level plane is then the lightest. Now this grass part has no white in it, so I'm going to shade that out. The grass over here is darker. Now it's hard to see, but the lightest lights are little bits on the path, a little bit here, and the sky. That's a messy thumbnail, but that's a thumbnail.
Are you going to put in that fallen log that's leading off that way, or that's distracting?
That's a good question. I don't know. Probably not.
You can put Brad in there?
No. But if you do put people, it's really interesting. I mean, you put people and you realize how tall the trees are.
Yeah.
So honestly, a person would be somewhere, they might even be smaller than that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's fun to do as,
So what is the focal point? Is it the end of the path as it disappears over the horizon? Or is it that very bright sun that's drawing your eye to the tops of the trees?
I would not do the bright sun.
You would not.
I would leave that out.
Because there's two focal points.
Well, and you don't have to have one focal point per se.
Okay.
That's just one option of creating a composition.
Mm-hmm.
It might be what I want the viewer to see is the play of light
Yes. It's quite
with the
beautiful.
shadows.
with the shadows.
Yeah.
And to me, the
It's quite
shadows might be what I want. But it's telling a story, and it doesn't have to be. Oh, I just want one thing to be the focus. And it's not always that way.
One there, right?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
similar to that one.
Yeah.
And the light was what was my focus.
The dappled rose.
Yeah.
Karen,
And that's
it
fine.
just went out because I was
Oh.
going to ask you a question on it.
Is it still time?
Could the
Yeah, it's still, but
could the
it's,
light of the path and those colors in the tree, like that whole center, right, like a little circle right around those oranges and yellows there, and the light path, could that all be sort of the focal right in that?
right in
area?
here. You could
Yeah.
make it that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's what my eye goes to.
Now it's more that way in that one. Because it's even lighter back here in the painting that's up on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's your prerogative. That's what's the fun thing is like how you might paint this would be different than how I might paint this.
So if you make it dark back there, it wouldn't be the focal point. I mean, I just thought if you pulled out the yellows and reds with the white of the path.
Okay, think of it this way: if you're going to lead somebody down the path, have something down there for them to see. And if you're going to lead the viewer into your painting, if you're going to guide them towards something. And it doesn't always have to be an item. It could be light. It could be, a change of color.
So would you change up that dark spot and just make it more yellow and red back there in the end of the path?
Right here?
Yes. Like, what what would you say that you would be leading them to?
Make the colors more
It doesn't have to be an end point.
Okay.
It could be, you see that it's beckoning you to come
Keep
on.
going. So the little dark part at the end of the path that we see right now, that is there, right?
That's there, but I would not make that the same color as the dark up here.
Ah, okay.
You would
That's
make
what
it
you're
less
saying.
dark?
I would make it cooler.
Because it's more in the distance.
I want it to go back in the distance.
Right.
So that's where you manipulate the colors to get the feel of what you want.
Okay.
And man, that comes with I'm still working on that.
Years of practice.
Yeah.
Years of
the
doing
colors and values.
Karen Margulis and Marcia Savage, I've taken 3 of their workshops and I learned so much from them. And then the lady that I took from Camille Prozwadek she was from California, but the workshop in Arizona. And I mean, it was called Color Boot Camp, and it kicked my butt, literally. Ended up in the hospital.
I
So-
know, I remember.
Anyway, but what I want you to do just for a little while is take some photos of something that you're interested in. And what I do on mine, I guess you could probably do this with your photos too. This is a Google Photo app. Is if I'm looking through all my photos, which I have like 70,000, and I'm going through, and that's my teeth. Oh, you want to see my brother's guitars? See, he makes stained glass guitars.
Oh wow, that's gorgeous.
There it is.
So more
Yay,
than,
Bart.
so it's
Can
an
you play
artistic
the-
family.
Can you play?
No, you can't play those. He takes broken guitars that
Oh,
cannot
but-
play anymore. And he has guitars, violins, and banjos that he's worked on.
Really cool.
And he creates works of art.
Is he the
that hang
only
on
one in
a
the world who does that?
I know there's others that do, but he's the only one I know of that does it. So, oh, and this was a cool play. Okay, so I know I lost my train of thought.
Yes.
You were telling us if we had a picture.
Okay, so this was at Lake Waco. And I found, there had been a bad flood not too long ago, and it killed these trees stayed underwater too long.
Oh,
But they're so cool now. I mean, it's kind of like Driftwood Beach.
those
And
trees. Yeah, it's
so-
like Driftwood Beach.
so I told Mark, I said, "Oh, I've got to go take pictures," and we went right before sunset. So, but find some pictures.
I like that one, but that thing's smack dab in the middle. It must
Yeah.
be something I really like. So what would you do? You'd move
Well, the thing is, sometimes it's okay
it? Okay,
because I framed it.
right.
So,
See in my bird feeder picture?
Mhm.
It was right in the middle.
mhm.
And I had the branches around it sort of like that, but I moved it so it wouldn't be right in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I don't know.
Okay.
It's just
I
sometimes it's a feel.
you just
It's
break
like,
the rule and say, I really want it there?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, heck yeah, you can break
Okay.
rules.
I mean, because I purposely took the picture with it in the center. But then I tried to do it by the rule of thirds and I moved it over.
Right. Now, the thing about this one, this pulls in around,
It
so
does.
it's kind of creates your visual going
Right.
around.
It does.
So I think that's one reason why it didn't bother me, and the fact that the darks came around and then
Right.
led to it, and then this came back and led around. So because of the way
The way I framed it. And
yeah,
it's like, and so you'd have to be really careful painting that one in the center that you don't have it as intense as the one in front, right?
mm-hmm.
Because
And see, here is a great example of a lost edge. Do you see where the water and the sky are so much the same color? You know that there's an edge there, but you don't see it. But your brain knows. So even when I pull it up, you can hardly tell the difference of the sky and the ground. But anyway, whatever pictures you pick, and that's not what I was looking for. I meant to go to my photos albums. You can go to albums, and you as you look at your photos, you can star them, and so you have a file of your favorites.
You put a little heart on it. If you have an
Oh, now let me just show you. Okay, so
So you're using
I'm-
Google though, right?
these are Google photos.
Yeah.
Okay.
My Google. So if I'm going through here and I go, oh, I think I'm in my favorites already. Let me find one that's not in my favorites.
So,
Okay.
I
All right,
texted
so-
them to myself so they'd all be separate because I didn't know how to
That's
do this.
smart. Yeah.
Okay, so you have Google,
I
right?
do have Google. I don't always sign into it, but I can.
Okay, so now say
One more
I like
thing
this
alone.
cat picture.
Right.
All right, so on this cat picture, well, where is it? Well, I was going to show you. Dadgummit. Let me go back. Select. Okay, now I'm confused. I was doing that the other day. I was looking at files, and I was hitting, there was a star somewhere. Ah!
So up top in your little dots up there.
Mm-mm. That doesn't give me that choice.
Mm.
Oh, add to album. But I didn't have to do, then I could go to shared, but that, okay. When I figure it out, I'll show you, but anyway, somehow
So you're saving them all in your favorites. So
I'm saving them to my favorites, and I
so
don't,
that you can look for the ones you know you want to paint.
right, and I have way too many in there. But it's ones that either I want to, like here's another one I want to paint. And
Yeah, that's really pretty.
Is there a river in there?
no, that's just a path.
Oh, it looks like a
But like when we were walking on that path coming back from the, and I said turn around
And look at the.
and look at the
Yeah.
backlight.
Yeah,
I think I forgot to save that one in here.
I have some of those.
Yeah,
But see, this one's
it wasn't
that
very
one's
focused.
that one's kind of a backlight
What
because it
colors?
coming
Right.
through.
Sure, we have to go in this
Yeah.
fall.
But there, I mean, it's just a neat way to be able to find them and not have to spend so
Search
much
through all the
time.
time.
So
Yeah.
figure out how it works for you. Okay, I'm going to go to this one. This one, when I look at it, I have the sky is one shape. See, that's one. Then there's another color. There's the light blue. That would be 2. Then this all through here would be 3. This one is a little closer, a little lighter. That would be 4, and this would be 5. So 5 big shapes. So if you can find a photo that you can make into, now trees, you have multiple shapes, but as long as they connect, you can kind of count that as one. So but look at this one. You have this all along in here would be 1, 2. This side kind of fits together. It's a little darker. You have the sky that's all up in here, all above there, and then of course it's broken up. But try to find this one. This right here would be one shape. This would be another. All of this in through here would almost be another. And then the river, the lighter part, would be another. But I didn't understand this for years. It was frustrating to me because I would rather draw out all the details and then paint in, like paint by number. And there was one of the artists I worked with said, well, think of painting as carving. You have this chunk of clay, and you're going to carve these big pieces. You're going to put in these big pieces, and then you're going to carve out the details. Because, like a sculptor has to start with the big pieces, carve in, and then Greg Barnes did that. He would put in big shapes, and then he would paint in some of the negative space. Anyway, it's a work. I'm trying. So, but I just wanted to introduce that to y'all. Now this one I like. Here's a simplified one. Here's a big shape right up here. Here's a medium shape right over here. Here's a light, and then the dark. Okay.
And then you paint in the details is really what you're doing. But you're
Yes.
laying out those big chunks.
But
Yes.
the tension always is, for me, is how solid do you make your big shapes
Wow. Yeah.
as you carve, because you always have to keep in mind you're going to come back in with the details.
And they don't
So
have
that-
to be solid.
No, they can't be.
Because if you make them solid and hard edges, you're going to be
Yes.
fighting yourself.
Yes.
And-
But
Well, that was that
that's the
waterfall
trick.
one I did. The one I did myself that was
Uh-huh.
from the girls. They were standing in it. I didn't put them in. I carved out the big spaces, but then being able to paint those spaces to make it
Yeah.
look right took me
Right.
forever. I really do get this part. This forces me to know where to stick stuff on the canvas.
Uh-huh.
You know, Vogel. I did my Vogel picture. That was the one. It almost looked too dark to do, but I lightened it and stuff. But that one, I laid out all the big spaces and then, because we've done some of this work, Carrie, a little bit with you as we
Mhm.
laid each one out.
All right, so this is a very simplified version of this. Very simplified. This could be a sketch of this.
Mhm.
But when I paint it, when you look at close, there's a mountain range and a mountain range. So, but when you squint, that's all one. So I'd leave light, but just to be aware, to try to separate light, medium, dark, or to limit it to 4, to me is just a good thing to practice. And if you have your sketchbook with you, and you can spend some time practicing this, to where, well, I want to try to do this in 3 or maybe 4. And if you really want a challenge, pick up a marker and try to do it in 2, where it's just light or dark. Now, see, this one, if it's real simple, this one would be easy in light and dark. So I'd make that upper cloud all black, and I would make this bottom all black, and then that little bit right there black, and everything else would be light. But the ones that are not so light and dark are hard. Okay, so
Do you recommend a pencil? Is that the best thing to do it in?
I like a pencil because I can just lay it down and,
I didn't bring it away.
I have a whole box in there. With all
oh,
different
I've got plenty. And if it's not sharp, I've got a sharpener here and one in there.
Thank you.
Here you go. That one actually has a pen. I mean, a
Oh,
point.
Put it on
Thank
right
you.
now.
Okay, so let's practice a little bit, just sketching some of this. If you don't have any pictures, feel free to dig some of mine out. What I'd like to do is, like, if I want to paint this, I might want to practice just what colors I want to use, or if I want it monochromatic, which is, or limited palette. Just different ways to get used to do small to get used to the composition, and then pick what you like and do big. That makes sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
What you like and do big? You mean on a canvas?
On a canvas. You're not going to draw it big. I mean,
Right.
you'll sketch out your big shapes, but I'll explain that later. I think I lost you there.
That's beautiful.
This is,
Did you get that?
yeah,
It's beautiful.
thank you. Because this summer, Greg,
Oh yes.
I did the dark green
Uh-huh.
in shapes, and it actually turned out.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Is it watercolor?
No, it's oil.
But it's 5x7.
Uh-huh.
Oh, really?
It
It's
was
got
my
such a nice
friend's
sketchy feel to it.
her graduation party. That was the centerpiece, so I painted it for her.
Oh, you're so
But it's
sweet.
the first time where I did my darks as a block. But then it's like, how far do you go? And you gotta leave space for white. And
Well, that was one thing that the teacher in Arizona, she had us draw out all our shapes, and then when we painted
On
with a
your
palette
canvas.
knife on our canvas, and then we painted with a palette knife, and she said you don't go to the lines, you go up close to the line, but you make sure you fill in your space, leave that line until you know the color's right, because if the color's wrong, you can remove
that's a good
that
idea.
color because you're not hitting the line. So it's hard to
The
explain.
line of your big shape you sketched?
Yeah, so like,
The outline of it.
yeah, so if I was,
That's great.
so,
I
just
couldn't believe it.
pretend this was a
Sometimes when you do what the teacher says,
a
it
paint
works.
type, if a painting, if this was a painting, and not of anything, but say I did this in one color.